you've experienced a lot of contact with benevolent, positive, angelic beings that seem to try to help humanity ascend and evolve. But have you ever heard of or experienced any contact from the negative entities, like demonic entities? Are they real? And if they're real, what is their purpose?
Well, they're most likely real, yeah. Where you have light, you have dark, yin and yang. This whole world, this earth. Let me give you a kind of a view from a friend of mine who was what they call a sacred geometrist. His name was Dr. Robert Gilbert. He died last year. Loved the man. He was the Vesica, Vesica Institute. He was a Rosicrucian. He worked in Egypt, studied in Egypt for years and years. And one thing, and this is part of my learning along the way, he's like, Chris, you know what? If you go to Egypt and you dig in the sand there, what you find mostly in the dirt, they find all kinds of things, but overall, what they find an abundance of are pendulums. I'm like, pendulums? Well, why? He said they used them religiously. And they're the ones that created that understood sacred geometry, and they passed down that information throughout all these secret societies like the Masons and the Templars and on and on. When they laid out Washington, D.C., they used pendulums. And I'm like, okay, why did he do that? He said, okay, here's an example. The earth is a diode, and the sun is shining on it at an angle and it creates energy, right? It's like a energy creating machine. So you see the electricity going around in the color of the aura, right? So electricity has negative and positive polarities. It's like a battery in a car, or it's positive and negative. You got to have both. You can't have one. We're built on them rules. He says these lines running around, these energy lines form a grid like this, grid on the whole earth. Some people call them ley lines, but he's like they're way much closer together than that. They're just a grid of electricity. These lines are both positive and negative. And he said, imagine your house happened to have one of those negative lines that ran by one corner of your house and clipped the bedroom where your little child lives. And all of a sudden, that one child starts having nightmares, gets sick, all kinds of things happen. He said the Egyptians knew this thousands of years ago. He said what they would do, they would take and find these negative lines. They loved the positive ones, they'd leave them alone, but they'd find the negative lines with a pendulum. And then they had a ritual where they'd transmute them up off the ground where they were out of anywhere the humans and so they did that, like even in the cities, the big cities like New York and Central Park, Paris, London. They all went over to Egypt and then basically took their obelisk and brought them back here, right? And erected them in certain places. He's like, you know what those things did? I said, I have no idea. He said, they were tuned so perfectly, these stones. Nobody knows how they did it. We can't do it today. But they were tuned so perfectly that was like a transmuting device that lifts up the negative energy. And that's why all these giant cities had those. The biggest cities in the world all had these obelisks. So it's so negative is a natural thing that's here on earth. And in those negative lines are negative beings. And if you dwell on those, it's the same thing. You manifest the word abracadabra means I manifest what I speak. So they knew this. You can manifest whatever you want in life. So if you live a life of positive, never speak a negative, you don't have to worry about that.
Right,
But if you have that in your life, you attract that, right? So you got to
right.
have, so I don't worry about the negative. I don't have it around me. I don't
Yes,
seek it. I don't want it. And
that's
it
that's
says in the Bible, seek and you will find.
that's true.
Knock and the door will be open. So
That is a good approach.